Hey guys, Chris here from Carolot Farm. We are heading off on camping trip number 4 for the year, and we are now heading to James River State Park. This is a very special Virginia state park. They have great river access, and so if you like to tube or boat, this is your kind of park. We can't wait to show you around. We have had a lovely long weekend camping at James River State Park. I am currently at their Discovery Center, which I believe is also a great sky viewing area. This is a dark sky park. And so there's a little clearing here, but the park largely is wooded, and it's got tons and tons of great trails, again, through the woods. Some of them are through a meadow area like you see behind me. There's a nice variety of hiking trails here at James River State Park, and there's a wonderful overlook of the Tye River where it flows into the James. It's a nice hike and it's not too strenuous. Here at James River State Park, not only do you have a bunch of tent campers, RV campers, but you also have a lot of equestrian campers. They have a sizable equestrian campground that when I drove past was pretty full with trailers, so that's a great sign. Lots of access for lots of different, outdoor enthusiasts. So just a really lovely park, and I have nothing but great things to say, except they have a pretty large skunk population here at James River State Park. We have spotted multiple skunks, multiple nights, just kind of wandering throughout the campground, but fortunately no one has been sprayed. And no skunk has even attempted to spray. It doesn't smell bad, but you do need to be aware that there are a bunch of skunks around and about. So not only do you need to be bear aware, you need to be skunk aware. We did not realize that there was a fairly dense population of skunks here at James River State Park until we had been here for a night or two. And we started seeing them around and about. They really do just meander all through the campground. They'll come right up to your site, under your chairs. And so, our evening outdoor time has been impacted a little by that. But what first tipped us off was the very first day we were here. Someone in our camp group went to the bathhouse and they saw that they have a Skunks 101 poster up. And that began to tip us off to the potential skunk activity in the area. It's got some tips for what do you do if you see a skunk, and they say not to run, not to make loud noises, but to just quietly back away. If you see them doing their little dance, back away a little quicker just because that's a sign that they're getting ready to spray. And then they also have some little tips here for if you are sprayed or a dog of yours is sprayed, how to make a skunk scent removal. I think it's baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, and dish soap. So it's not your typical tomato juice that we kind of heard about, growing up, I imagine many of you. So, but this was different, but it was very helpful. And so the first time we made a little run to the store, we bought those 3 ingredients just to be safe. And fortunately, no one's needed them. But just be skunk aware as well as bear aware. They do have their little bear aware signs. Most state parks do. Always put your trash away, don't leave things out, clean your grills. But the skunk aware was a new one. When we go camping, we enjoy sitting outdoors for quite some time in the evenings. And on this particular evening, my daughter and I stepped inside the camper for just a few minutes, and when we came out, we had a visitor. Maybe we're not going to go back outside. And I want to take you now down to Canoe Landing, which is where a lot of people come to put in their kayaks and their tubes, which this park is really known for. It's river access. It has 2 access points, Canoe Landing and then Dixon Landing. So I want to show you those because we have really enjoyed the water access here at James River State Park. Because we are right here on the river, the campground itself and much of the park sits up on top of the hillside, but it is very hilly getting down to the water. So if you're a runner or a bike rider, just be mindful that there are some pretty big hills here at James River State Park. Here's the parking area at Canoe Landing. I'm a little surprised surprised they don't have cars here already this morning. But I do want to take you down to the river access point, but there's plenty of parking, which is always nice. There are a bunch of geese down here at the water's edge this morning, enjoying themselves. It's very quiet down here this morning. The river is still a little muddy. We had a really, really big rain middle of last week, and the water level is coming down to a more normal level, but the water is still a bit brown. And here is a look at the actual boat launch area. This is where you can put in and pull out your kayaks, your tubes. Just a really, really nice park. I want to show you kind of up close and personal this boat launch area. It's a Sunday morning, and so the park is absolutely quiet as can be right now. The water access here is great. You can pull your vehicle really close to put in, pull out. Lots of kayaks, lots of tubers come here. The only thing I will note is we found that at the end of the ramp here, it does drop off pretty quickly. So be mindful. My sister-in-law stepped in and all of a sudden she was like up to her chest, and you know, she's not a short person. So it was a surprise, but it's a really great access point. This park, you can hear the cicadas right now. This park, I believe, has a 2-mile float. And by that I mean if you put your kayak or tube in here at Canoe Landing and you float down the river, it's about a 2-mile trip to that next really nice pull-out area, which they call Dixon Landing. Both of these are here. They're on the park property. They both have plenty of parking, and I highly recommend, you know, if you like tubing or kayaking, it's a great park for that. The water is nice and calm today, but when we first arrived a few days ago, the water was still quite high and it was rushing pretty fast because of some really, really heavy rains that we had last week. So you always have to be mindful of the river and the condition that it is in. But right now the water is very safe. It was very quiet and we had a great time here at the park. With the river conditions as they were, being a little higher and a little faster, we were able to complete the 2-mile float in an hour on day 1. And then the second day, it did take a little longer because the river was a slightly lower. But on average, they say to plan on 2 hours for 2 miles. They do provide air machines if you want to blow your tubes up. We even saw somebody blowing an air mattress up. So that was super handy. It does take quarters, however, so make sure you've got a little bit of loose change in your car in a pocket. We didn't realize, and so when we came to fill our tubes, we were a little surprised. I don't know why, but we thought maybe it was free air. So again, be prepared, but it was really handy. Super glad to have it because we brought our air pump. However, we forgot to charge it up. So when we went to use it, it was dead. So again, they do provide air here at Canoe Landing. It's 25 cents for quite a long time though. We filled 5 or 6 tubes with just 2 quarters. So again, it's cheap, it's handy, it's available, but just be prepared. This is Dixon Landing. This is the lower pull-out spot here at James River State Park. You know, they have plenty of parking here. It's an early morning, so just a few cars in the lot, but a very nice park for water access. We camped in the Red Oak Campground. Our site was site 10, and my brother was in site 11, so just across this little road. The site was very level. We did not need any sort of leveling blocks or anything. It was very nice. There was a really, really fine gravel though that did continuously get into our shoes, which was, you know, less than ideal, but the fact that it was level was great. And both of these sites had plenty of room for extra parking. We had shade pretty much all day, except for directly over noon, which is why we did have that pop-up. So again, just a really fantastic site. As we prepared to go tubing, we loaded everything into the trucks and drove just a short distance to Canoe Landing, which is where we put in, and then we had another vehicle parked down at Dixon Landing for when we got out. But again, this is a really fantastic park for any sort of river access, whether it's kayaking or tubing. It comes highly recommended. The park also, as well as RV campsites, have primitive sites. They have campsites down by the water's edge. And so yeah, just lots of options. And then here's a little view of the river. You could see that the water was moving at a pretty good rate, but it was still very safe, really perfectly ideal for floating. We are just finishing up our trip here at James River State Park. And I'm going to show you around a little. It's a very nice, quiet campground. The bathhouse here at Red Oak Campground was quite nice and relatively new. They had individual shower stalls along with a nice wash sink for those who are camping, tent camping, and need to wash their pots and pans. And the bathrooms were perfectly adequate here. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of James River State Park. Like I've said in our previous clips, we have really enjoyed our time here. The water was lovely. There were 2 great access points. The campsites, you know, nice and level pads. So nothing but good things to say. Be skunk aware, you know, be skunk aware, but they didn't seem to bother anyone. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you're like us and you love the outdoors, you love water, river access, definitely make a plan to come to James River State Park because it's a gem of a park. So have a great rest of your day. Check back soon. We've got a few more trips coming up this year, and we hope to see you soon. Bye, guys.